Hola.
What's that building across the road?
It's is that the kids center and then the office.
Yeah,
Office
Center,
starts with
and then we have an office over here, and then this is the main church building. And
Time now,
are
huh?
live. Just say hello to the audience.
2 minutes to 12.
2 minutes.
Oh.
2 minutes to get started.
Who's it there? What's your weekend's plans?
Supposed to be study. It's supposed to be.
Stay dry.
Eh?
Stay dry and warm.
Steven, any, were you guys now in the league? What league are you in?
I'm not playing this season. So
Eh?
I'm out of weather.
And your
My
team,
knees give up.
where's your team now? Was it Bobo?
Yeah, they finished 8th. So
In that? Yeah.
championship, just outside those playoff spots again. But yeah,
Sure.
we can always hope. New season. hope.
Yeah, did you see us in the transfer market?
Non-existent. Look, I think something big's happening. There's some big plans.
What?
What's big? I think they're going to play.
Liverpool, aren't you? You signed
Conte,
Fred,
yeah.
so that's not bad.
No, I'm saying we had a good market. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're.
Liverpool sort. No, United's fine.
What do you mean you have big plans?
Oh, okay.
Look.
Okay.
The plan is not to compete this year. I mean, I think ideally you're gonna.
You can ideally like 15.
We must be
maybe.
good at selling. Just sell.
Couldn't is useful, but you can add something.
We've got much more problems than that, I think.
But also, nothing to play for next year, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing.
I think it's a blessing in disguise, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we need to have a podcast on leadership and then blame everything on Alex Ferguson, isn't it?
What systems and blame it on the club?
if you look at you get Klopp and then look at the
Blame
transition
it on the
to.
family, man. That blames the family.
Listen here,
Bad
we're
business
talking about
deals.
soccer. Are we live? Eh? What's time?
We should be live.
It's 12. 12 o'clock. Can we leave English football for now? Awesome. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon to the Men's Mental Health podcast. Thank you for making the time on a cold Friday afternoon. I think we have some guests there from, is it Prasa? Prasa, I believe you guys are in an auditorium. Thank you for making the time, for joining us. We also have some clients from 360 Financial Planning. Thanks for joining. And then to all of you out there for making the time on this cold afternoon. Why did we set up today? So I'll tell you guys a bit of a story. We were doing a webinar, I think it was on the 3rd of June, and I got a message popped up, and it was from Lucian, and he gave me some crazy stats, but I was busy presenting, and I looked at the stats, and I thought, my goodness, let me just reply, and I just said, listen, let's do something, and he's like, okay, let's do something. So why did you send me the WhatsApp? What was the motivation? What is going on there?
Yeah, Dalton, I think the WhatsApp came at a very odd time. I was at home for a couple of days due to an injury, and
So you just what was the WhatsApp?
so the WhatsApp was just about, I just felt there was a need to just send a message out to men in general, just bringing awareness around my understanding of mental wellness, the impact it has on society, and that we got to do something. Not necessarily knowing what we're going to do, but we got to do something. And I think it was a start. But it came at a time that I was at a time that I could think, and I think often what we don't do is spend time to think. We often do it, especially as men, we do it. But the message just came from a good place at the time. The responses was amazing. I had a lot of people saying what can we do? What can't we do? We're really doing stuff. And it's good to know that people's doing things. And I think we just need more of those stuff. So it really was a message because I had time on my hands.
Yeah. Cool. So Lucian is from Kaizen Consult. So here we are today, and I'm going to jump into the first segment. Lucian.
Can you just redo that? We just dropped.
Oh, you good? Okay.
Can you just redo that intro?
Okay.
Sorry.
Are we live again?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay. Be patient with us, please. It's raining and sometimes the tech drops here. Okay. So yeah, the intro, Lucian from Kaizen Consult. Bas, is that okay? And I'm from 360 Consulting and 360 Financial Planning. Bas, I just wanted to check with you the intro. Are you happy? Okay,
What
can I
was
move
that last little bit that you just did now?
around the WhatsApp?
Oh, kind of like very last bit that you just did now.
Okay.
The last paragraph.
Oh yes, moving the dial, right?
Yes, moving the dial.
Sorry. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience. So yeah, we're not promising perfection. We want to move the dial 1%. Mental health is a complex issue. There's a lot of complexities, and we're not professing to give you the silver bullet to these complex matters. But if we can move the dial 1%, I think we would have done a good job today. So enjoy the hour with us, and there's lots we want to cover. So let's get cracking. So Lucian, I'm going to go right into it. How would you define success amongst men? What is success?
So, I mean, my view would be success in relation to mental wellness, particularly in the men environment. I think often we take stress and we expand it bigger than it should be. And I think my view is when you look at stress, you got to run your own race. So often we bring in unnecessary stress simply because we worried and paying too much focus on what's happening around us as opposed to running our own race. And if I could bring the analogy of a 100-meter sprinter, the basic principles of sprinting is you stay focused, you stay in your lane, and you're looking forward. Unless you're Usain Bolt, that's got a distance amongst the rest and it's got the ability to look back. But the principle around sprinting is don't look what's happening behind you, left to right, run your race. And if you look at the sport in particular, or 100 meters in particular, it's apart from any technical stuff like an F1 car or bike, it's probably the fastest human sport around. And I think it's significant that when we are in a position to manage stress, firstly identify stress, right? You've got to also have the ability to put plans in place. And often I think some of the ways we can manage this stuff is put your own goals, your own views in place, and then manage those stuff. So have your own timelines, your own milestones. If you want to compare the human being to a corporate world, you go to most corporates, you'll find a whiteboard in an office. Mm-hmm. And it's time to think. We jot down plans, business plans, and we have milestones to execute it. What we don't do is, very few households or individuals has got their own personal whiteboard at home. And this whiteboard is, what is my goals for wellness? What is my goals for health, my relationships, spiritual, religious? And often we got to take some time back. And when we take a step back and understand is what is my path that I need to challenge and travel through.
So Lucian, I just want to go back to that analogy. So we talk about the comparison trap. Is that one way to then deal with it? Focus on your own goals, not looking towards what your brother's doing, or because that's where the comparison and the anxiety comes from.
Yeah, and I think it's simplified like that. So just you there to do a specific outcome based on your needs, your resources, because we don't know what's happening in someone else's household. We don't know, and all you can do is be the best version of you. And if you can improve, like you said, shifting it down 1% per day, that's growth, and for me, that's success. As long as you a step closer to your goals, that for me is simplified form of success.
I got talking about that, I got a guy, friend of mine, so he does the garbage collector, right? And so he comes there every Thursday, and he rings the bell, and then he gets something from me, and then he takes out the dirt. But getting to know him over the years, I think he's a model of what success looks like, right? He's been doing his job for 40 years, consistently, right? His area that is in his Mitchell's Plain, and he said to me that he lives around gangsters. But he gets up every day, he goes to work. He's going to retire now, we're actually helping him with his financial planning. And what's amazing there is that in that environment, he's respected by the community, even the gangsters around him, because he gets up, he goes to work, and he's been doing it for 40 years. So now I ask the question, let's say, we talk about real talk here, and when we compare each other's jobs and your careers, I don't think I would be able to achieve that success if that was my environment. So I think that's success. But we make the mistake. Okay, we rock up in a suit and think we've done it.
Yeah.
But that for me is success. 40 years.
Yeah.
He's getting a decent pension as well. But I think for me that's a great example because he didn't try and be a corporate. He stuck to his job and he did it quite well. And so I think that just to get away from the comparison trap, because that's what fuels anxiety and comparison. So yeah, that's a great example. What? Usain Bolt though. He looks that's arrogance if you ask me. But you actually, when we were preparing, you said something to me. You said, when he's pushed, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't do it.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of guys that did push him. Then he's looking straight ahead.
Yeah. And I mean, it's probably in most stuff in life. So I think when you really push, and your back's against the wall, you've got to focus.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you don't have the ability to look it up. But when you have succeeded with that much time ahead, then you can take your foot off the pedal, relax. And I think that's what he did throughout his career. Also, just slightly off topic, it's great to see some South Africans coming through the ranks there.
Yeah.
So sooner or later, we'll be having new names around the block and not Usain Bolt.
Okay, so let's not compare to one another. Run your own race and do that to the best of your ability consistently. And show up every day.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's move over to the next one. Casey's in the audience over there. When we were putting a flyer together, your tagline was it brotherhood? I think it was brotherhood.
Yeah.
Talk to me about brotherhood. What is masculinity, strength, and all of those things that you like to talk about?
So Dalton, I think when we look at just men's mental wellness, we all form part of some sort of community, whether it's a WhatsApp chat, a sports group, or work group. I think we gotta shift that down, particularly around to impact men's wellness positively. So we need to find space to allow people to be vulnerable. What we don't do effectively as men, we will say, let's go meet for a beer, let's go meet for watch a sports game. Females do this very effectively, in my opinion. So they'll meet for coffee. Two females can sit over coffee and speak about life and stuff. What we don't do effectively as men, we hide behind sports, we hide behind being in an arena, and then we go watch a sports game, we speak about sports. But we don't really speak about how are you doing and how are you really doing. And if we do ask that question, the general answer is, I'm okay, I'm good. And I think we got to find ways and means to unpack that. We got to allow our brotherhood to be vulnerable. We've got to allow to understand what's going on. And if it was that easy, right? If it was that easy and men could speak up, we wouldn't have the situation that 7 out of 10 suicides are men.
Yeah, just that stat that you sent me.
Yeah.
Can you just... What was
So South African stats says that 79% of suicides in South Africa is men. And obviously these are related to very different stuff, but fundamentally it's all around mental wellness, instability, insecurities, not being in a space of protection. And I'm sure people listening have lost dear friends for all the wrong reasons. And I think we got to find ways to prevent the future, right? So, and some stuff that we probably got to do is, I mean, if I take the simple things, guys get together for reasons. And let's take sports, for example. So if you're watching a sports game, we watch with groups, so you get to hide what's really happening behind the scenes. But I encourage the guys out there is just find opportunities, even if it's just one friend a month, to meet up and meet for coffee, but really speak how you're doing, right? It could be over WhatsApp, could be over a coffee, over a beer, but let's be true to it. And it's very hard, so something practical we could do, instead of asking how are you doing, ask him from a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? Let's unpack that a bit further, right? Ask the same question to the same guy the next month and see if that number's getting better. Practically, we could ask them in terms of, if I should ask you, what sports team do you feel like at the moment in terms of your wellness? And let them split up names. So I'm feeling like the Springboks today, which will genuinely resonate that they're feeling good. I'm feeling some soccer teams, which I won't mention. I won't mention the soccer teams. I'm not feeling good. So I think let's find ways. You mentioned very clearly we don't have a silver bullet, but I think it's a start. Let us start to make a difference. Let us start to impact. And it's just going to make some sort of movement going. Yeah.
When we sent the flyers out for today, I had a guy, he sent me a WhatsApp and he said, listen, I suffered in silence all year. So I mean, a high performer, high profile position, and he said he suffered for an entire year on his own. And I think the problem there is that when men get together around Springboks or soccer, there's a lot of bravado. You know, when you get together, talk about business and all these kind of things, but to be vulnerable, I think that's a strength. And the encouragement is really that we get together. You know what is so sad for me? You could be around a group of friends your entire life and not actually know them, and not know what's going on. That for me is quite sad. That we don't go deeper like women do when they get together. We were joking earlier on with the ladies that they get together and they ask the deep questions.
Yeah.
Life is tough. And I mean, personally, Sebastian, I don't know if you can pan that camera to my team over there. But personally, what I say to them, wave there, the team's on 360. I'm intentional to share how weak I am.
Yeah.
Right? So I say to them, whatever you see, we're leading the business, I'm leading the business, but whatever you see here, it's not easy. I have my own mental struggles. It's hard for me to get out of bed sometimes. But I want you to know that I have put systems in place. And so what I do personally, there's a couple of guys that I meet with. Umbuso is one of them. And if you must sit in that discussion, it's deep questions.
Yeah.
Are you showing up at home? Are you showing up in the community? And keeping each other to that level of account. Whether it's quarterly meetings, and I like to meet with some of the older guys as well.
Yeah.
And just to say, can I just talk to you? And that has really helped me personally. Because like we said, we don't promise utopia. There's no perfection in this life. And so that's really helped me. But I do want to have one caution. I want to know what you think about that. Your selection of that group, or let's say your brotherhood, is that not important?
Yeah.
Because if you're around the wrong guys, they might feel some of the things that you're trying to avoid. And so how do you caution against that, your selection of who you actually have you can't bear all with everyone.
Yeah. Look, and the sad part is when we speak about communities, we all are part of some community, some form or other. And my biggest concern is how many people are we leaving out of those communities? And are they too scared to come into a circle and start speaking? So as much as we need to provide to a communities, how do we bring people in? So we've got to break those barriers to see that find space. I mean, it doesn't have to be a social club. It doesn't have to be a WhatsApp group. But also selective. You're so right in saying that we can't have the same conversation with everyone in our circle, and that's okay. But we must have the ability to ask the questions, how are we doing authentically to everyone in the circle? So what I'm trying to get at is you can help everyone. Whether you resonate with them, there is an opportunity to some form of support. And some of that support could be, hey, speak to this person. Hey, do this, do that. But we shouldn't find ways and spaces to turn our backs on guys, because that's typically what people get outcasted and they feel alone. And if we need to make an impact, we've got to bring people in as much as we want. Because often we get into a specific community or circle and we kick the ladder away, we pull up walls, and we don't make it inclusive. And the sad part is there's people out there that's needing that inclusivity.
So I think, that's a massive takeout. Guys, just learn something from the ladies. Ask the tough questions. You said, just if you can just refresh my memory again, don't just ask how you're doing. Give me a couple of practical things, like what team.
So
I'm not pushing on United, but like
yeah.
how are you
So
feeling? Like, and so when they say I'm fine, do you mean that? Like, what questions can we ask?
So off the cuff, I don't want to sit here and say, look, I know the questions to ask, but I almost want to say is what not to ask.
Okay.
Let's not ask close-ended questions by asking how are you, right? You're gonna get an answer, I'm okay. That's it. Let's not ask the questions, how's work? You're gonna get an answer, it's busy. Let's be intuitive. Let's be creative with the questions. And if it's someone that's sports loving, say, hey Dalton, how are you feeling this month? If I should say, in relation to a particular sports team, what do you feel? Do you feel like the Springboks? You feel like the All Blacks? Let's keep it rugby there. So those are stuff. Ask him stuff like, how do you feel from a scale of 1 to 10? Ask him like, if there's 3 things that you need support with, what are those 3 things? And I think those are deep diving into those questions, as opposed to asking the standard stuff. Again, we're not great at it. and we just got to be aware of it and try and get better at it.
Mm. So, audience over there, ask your brothers. So, Springboks are playing tomorrow, right?
They are against the Barbarians.
Watch the game, shout, do your thing, then halftime. How you really doing? Do you want to have a coffee in the week? Let's have a beer now. Do you want to have a coffee in the week? How you really doing?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's massive. You wanted to ask me about the financial.
So
That surely also adds
yeah. So
the
you know,
numbers.
if you unpack wellness, mental wellness, right? There's a lot of elements in it. So you could break it down into I'm struggling with a relationship. I'm struggling with my career. I'm struggling with finances. I'm struggling spiritually. I'm struggling with my health. So there's a lot of components that plays an impact. I think based on your background, we'll be failing in trying to tap into some of your expertise. So, in your view, what do you think is the role of financial impact on men's mental wellness?
Yeah, it's something we very passionate about in our planning business, because we spend a lot of time unpacking behaviors and trends when we meet with our clients, and we have the privilege to come across so many people, and they're often struggling. But now these are high earners, and for example, from a debt perspective, they swamped with debt, and it's keeping them up at night. They've got to provide for their families, and they're struggling with managing the debt.
Yeah.
What happens then is they don't bring it up, and that debt rises, but they don't deal with it head on. I think we were talking about the ostrich example, the head in the sand sort of analogy, where the numbers don't look good, and it's keeping you up at night, and you don't speak up. Again, the community, who you're going to speak to around these things. So what we say to clients is, listen, let's stare the thing in the face. Let's stare these numbers. Let's look at it together.
Yeah.
Don't put your head in the sand. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to stay, then it's going to get worse. So we say to clients, let's just look at the realities right now and say, what do we need to do? Can we build a pathway to get out of the situation?
Mm.
And we found that those that ignore that, it spirals into other areas of their life. Sometimes marriages, right, get broken because of that. And so what we say to clients, stay it, look at it, and let's work through it together. And so we have a cool example of a guy. Again, he was a high income earner. His debt was spiraling, and we sat together. Now, I'm not going to talk about the strategies that we actually use, but we just did some restructuring.
Yeah.
It took about 3 years, right? And he always thanks the team for taking him through that process. Now, if he did nothing, it would have gotten worse, and we wouldn't have gotten out of the situation. I'll use another example. So again, it's that whole process of staring at the numbers and just be realistic. So another example, we had a client, so picture this, right? You're working for 30 years, and so Mbuso in the audience, he does the modeling for the client, like looking at the numbers. So the client's there working for 30 years, and we say to the client, listen, you're retiring now, but your money's going to run out at 77. Now, when you hear something like that, what's it going to do? You're going to get into a state. And so what we say is, let's look at the reality and say, what are we going to do to move the dial? We did the modeling, and we came up with a solution. So in that instance, her daughter was a client of ours.
Okay.
And we said to her, listen, have you considered contributing to your mother's post-retirement plan? Right? So obviously we need to be aware of the fundamentals like tax strategies and all of that. But the point is, we called her into a meeting. We said, you're going to be inheriting this money in any case. Why don't you just come on board? Why don't you just come on board? Let's look at the patterns and just take about 5% of her shortfall. It had a huge impact. The money then, the mother's money then lasted to like 90.
Yeah.
And that was only one example. Now, we're a big team that helped her, but my point is this, there's always hope.
Yeah.
Whether it's retirement planning, whether it's debt, and to our audience, no matter how bad the situation is, don't put your head in the sand. There's always hope. And so when we sit with clients, we look at the behaviors. And once you get the behaviors right, you can move it out.
And I suppose that with anything, there's always someone that's worse off than you. And I
Yes.
think what we mustn't do is feel that the world's against us and there's no hope. There's hope. I think the first part is just reach out. There is people there. Reach out as much as hard as just try and reach out. Reach out for support.
Yeah, there's some really good professionals out there, good financial planners. And just a shout out, I'm giving you free advertising to my accountant out there. Just an example, we let go of our accountant last year because we wanted a relationship with our accountant. And this guy is a good example from Lighthouse Advisors. I want a reduction in my retainer next month. But my point is, so Kavir, he sits for our business. He says, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers, no matter what the context. Look at the numbers and let's project for the next 18 months or the next 24 months. No matter what the situation. I mean, our business has struggled during COVID.
Yeah.
Right? And so to have an accountant or a financial planner to say, listen, let's just look at the numbers and build a plan. Even those who are under debt, your credit providers, when you communicate with them, they're willing to build a plan for you.
Yeah.
But when you put your head in the sand and you ignore, that's when you get the letters.
Yeah.
So that I think that's just the financial planning slot was at the fixed mental health. And to the audience out there, remember there's always hope. Whether you have a shortfall in retirement, whether you're struggling with your savings or debt, reach out to a professional and get your way out of it, move the dial. So on that note, we cannot have mental health without fitness and nutrition, right? So we're going to call Captain America on.
Before we do that, someone has asked how and where can we reach out?
Oh, Sebastian, thank you. There should be on the page, Sebastian, our details are on the page. So if you look onto the 360 Consulting page, there's an email address there and our details on there. But at the end of the podcast, we're going to give you deal with some of that administration. So thanks for asking. But I think we have the famous Captain America into the... We got Marvin over here. Join us, Marvin.
Hi guys.
What does it?
Yeah, you doing well?
Good, brother.
Dalton, how you doing?
Yeah,
Well,
good.
So this looks like proper wellness here. Eh?
So this is Marvin. We're gonna talk a bit about nutrition and fitness. Marvin's at the
Sports Science Institute, yeah.
How long have you been there now?
So Dalton, I've been here for 18 years. Started off as an intern and then started my journey as a biokineticist a year later. Studied for 4 years. Prior to that, so did my honors in biokinetics, then got into sports science.
Sure.
And it's my passion, eh? It's what I love. What I live and what I love.
Now you know that. Yeah, so listen, before we get cracking, we say we don't want to put the wrong message across there, so you look like you jacked, yeah. We were joking earlier, we were setting up, right? So we said, who's going to sit where? So they said, no, let's give Marvin the whole couch. But listen, I just want to kick it off from a nutrition and fitness perspective. Like I said, you jacked. Is this the ideal here? I mean, what message are you giving? So I'm complimenting you.
No, absolutely. I think it's a compliment. Thank you very much. So initially it started off as just that. I wanted to get into better shape. But as time progressed and as I was doing this and helping other people on this journey, you realize it's more to it than just looking a certain way. I'm a father to 2 boys, my husband, and for me to be productive, fit, strong, is important to me. That's something I want to do.
So your drive has changed from the look when you were
Absolutely,
20s now to...
But to be fair, Dalton, this is also a combination of just consistency.
Sure.
So it happens inevitably. I mean, if you run every day, 5 kilometers now becomes 10 kilometers with a bit of ease, becomes 15 kilometers with a bit of ease, and over years you then can conquer a half marathon with ease. Yeah. So it's progression. This morning I woke up, I realized I had back-to-back clients. I looked at the weather, there was no time to train. But we all make time for things. So we wake up in the morning, some of us brush our teeth. Okay. I hope all of us brush our teeth in the morning. So. But I got up at 5:30 and I went to the gym. I went to train.
But you work there, right? So
fair enough, but I mean, it still means I started a bit later. Essentially, I could start a bit later. But I had to get there early because I had to fit this in. That helps me tremendously. but I also know that I make time for this. It's something I've got to do. I have to do it. So it eases my mental health.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, like I said,
Does it help? Like, because I have an idea of what you do. You're managing clients. You're managing the
Facility.
gym, the facility as well. You just said you were a father to two. You said you were coaching the other day as well.
well, I help with the coaching as well. Yeah.
So you were coaching your husband. So does this all help to manage all of those responsibilities?
I never understood what it's like to have this machine going if you're trying to help other people. So if this isn't working properly, I can't give the best of myself to others.
Okay.
And so that's what's important to me, to put effort and energy into this as best as I can. So from what I eat, to the type of training I do, to sleep, because it's pivotal. That's important.
I saw one at Sports Science.
Yeah.
I wanted to chat to you one day. You said, "No, I'm going to take a nap now."
Yes.
That sounds like nighttime sport.
I mean, there's a coffee shop down. So I had I think it was an easy morning or something. I said, "Hey Marvin, let's have a coffee." He said, No, I need to go. I need to sleep. I said, "Where are you going to sleep?" So you actually took time. So sleep is important.
So Dalton, my hours also are quite long.
Yeah.
And when you're giving of yourself physically and you're training, it's quite demanding, eh? So I do power nap where I can, 25 minutes, and then I'm back in it again. Because again, like I said, it's giving, and when you do that, it can be quite tiresome. And then I go from work to work. When I go to the boys, when I see them at home, because they're also quite demanding. It's, "Dad, let's kick some ball, let's do something," you know.
How old are the boys?
So eldest one is 11, and the youngest one is 6, and they both love sport.
So you need to.
So you gotta, gotta keep them in check as well.
So let's be fair, right? I want to be fair to our audience. We get up, we need to get to work, we need to get to the office. You work at the gym, so it's a bit easier for you.
Absolutely.
And obviously it's your career, it's your life, so you have to do it as well. So just to be fair, we don't have time. How do I mean, we joke in the office sometimes. There's a coffee shop right across the office.
Don't tell me you drive there.
No. I'm not talking about the driving, but the food's good and it's not necessarily the best things. Maybe some around the nutrition and that. Like, what can listen? Work is hectic, and now we must worry about how am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? I come home, I'm tired, right? So now you sit in traffic.
Yeah.
You get home maybe 5, 6 o'clock. You're telling me I must now go gym.
So that one is a level of accountability. You highlighted just right now when you said they're selling nice food. You know it's not healthy, but it's nice food.
Ladies, just remember that.
So the biggest part, I mean, I'm no angel when it comes to eating correctly. I eat relatively well, but for the most part, because I'm a family man, we have to be accommodating of everyone. So the boys, on a Friday we have a little cheat, but for the most part, as I'm getting older, and I do with science when it comes to this, once in your 40s, protein intake needs to be something you gotta start adding a bit more. Too. So my protein intake is relatively high. So I'll have a piece of meat with some veg. I'm not too pedantic about how the food is proportioned, but I just look at the amount of food I have. So I won't have 2 helpings. One is enough. I sort of just restrict myself to that.
Okay. No, I get you. So I'm in a really bad health position.
Just quickly.
Sure.
As a tick. Changes the game completely.
And you eat less.
You'll eat less.
Okay, glass of water. Okay, so tell me about the age group of your clients. So is it just your age or some of the older guys? Maybe we have an audience who's...
So it's from 15-year-olds all the way up to, I think the oldest client I have now is 93.
Sure.
And that's 93. And he is, this guy is made of nails, but he's gotten there. So he started training at the age of 52.
There's never too late.
And you know what he said to me? He said, "I'm getting fit to be old." I never understood it. Now that I'm in my 40s, I realized, geez, you work to this pinnacle to get to a point in your lives to enjoy what we've done.
Yes.
And how many of us can actually enjoy this if we're not enjoying the body that we're in?
Yeah.
You know, so he, at 93, Dalton, at 93 he still travels. And he says, "Mom, I walked from Prague, we walked down this," and it's amazing, it's absolutely amazing. 93. And I want to be like that. So that's my goal now. My goal is to live a good quality life.
But I think, just to go back, when you started out, you said initially, and I just want to touch on the images that we're getting from media. You know, this died, you're going to look like this, and it sort of look like body shaming and all of that. So I like what you said, just for our audience as well, that, okay, initially it was around how I look, but now it's around how I feel my body. And so I can show up in a really solid way for those around me as well. So that transition, I think, is important.
Absolutely.
We had a client the other day, because we also have a lifestyle offering. And so the client got declined, or not declined, they got loaded or something. So it's a term in insurance, because they had a high BMI, right? I think
body mass index,
overweight. And I said to the client, listen, watch what you see on YouTube, because I don't want you to go to extremes now. You're going to hear, take this diet, do this, do that. What are the small step changes that we can do? Like the basic things.
Okay, so Dalton, to lose weight,
Okay.
for example, it's simple. It's calorie intake versus expenditure. So what people need to understand is, before you even worry about what you're putting into your mouth, just try and get moving.
Okay.
That's the first step. Try and get moving, make that part of a routine. So if you can get up early in the morning, or whenever you have a chance, just walk. If it's around the block.
I see you walking with the kids.
You see me walking around the block with my kids. That's important. So I'm inculcating something to them. And I'm saying, look, we don't have to do sport all the time. Walking is also good enough. And you can progress. So I always, we've had cases like that. People come to the gym and they're morbidly obese. And with it comes a lowered self-esteem. So I get that. But we have to start off small. So we're not going to go extreme. I always tell them, take those images of what you see on the internet and Instagram, all these pages. Take it off completely. Take it out of your mind.
Yeah, stay away from
Just focus on you. And I think it ties in quite nicely with what you said. Stay in your lane. And when you stay in your lane, you can actually focus on those little chunks of goals and or chunk pieces, and we just break it up. So month 1, just get moving. Month 2, just get moving. We address the eating a little bit.
Small changes.
Little bit. Slowly but surely. But eventually there's light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not an oncoming train.
This quote, don't overestimate what you can achieve in 1 year. Don't underestimate what you can achieve in 10.
Absolutely.
So start
Absolutely.
that brother's 93.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he says his biggest regret is having started that late at 50.
Yeah, so men get together, don't just have a beer, go for a walk and talk about the real stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that, right? We go for a coffee and chat.
That's going to be coffee, chat, and walk.
We did that actually. We did
coffee,
that.
chat, and so when you guys get together, hey, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
Let's have a good chat. And keep each other accountable as well. I think you always do that with me.
No, absolutely, Dalton. I'm on your case.
Okay. Right. So we've spoken now about fitness and nutrition. I want to bring the showstoppers on now. The showstoppers. Stephen and Brandon, please join us. Thanks, guys. Guys, you good day still? Good? Alright.
Hey Dalton.
Stephen, mobile, right?
In the middle of
Anyway, I don't think Marvin took too much space.
Let's help them.
Okay, our next topic, probably one of my favorite, is a life of service. And I'm going to start with Stephen from UTurn. Stephen, you're going to tell us a bit about UTurn and your model that you have. We've chatted before, but this is probably my favorite segment.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having us. UTurn Homeless Ministries, founded in 1997, so we're going on 28 years now. We equip individuals and communities with skills to overcome homelessness. So the clients that we work with are primarily living on the street, all coming from an at-risk background. So they're at risk for homelessness due to previous incarceration or maybe previous substance abuse issues, or they come from state facilities like orphanages, things like that. So they're very vulnerable, is the clients we work with. So then we work on a phased development process to get them from living on the street, often struggling with substance abuse and unemployed, to being sober, employed, and housed. And it's kind of echoing what I've heard already here, because Marvin was talking about consistency, and I believe your company is called Kaizen, eh? Improvement, small improvement. And that's the way UTurn's model works. So it's a 4-phased journey.
So it's taking somebody from the streets, and it's not handouts. There's a process with the objective to integrate back into society.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah. So our main model is to actually rehabilitate folk back to independence.
What's the success like? What's the numbers looking like?
So as we go through that journey, we see more and more success in terms of those numbers. So all of our graduates complete the program sober, employed, and housed, and over 80% of them maintain that long term.
80%.
Over 80% maintain those outcomes long term. So the success rate for those who graduate is really high. From our work readiness phase, it's around about 2/3 of our clients continue on and about 1/3 drop off. And at our substance abuse phase, our phase 2, it's about 50%. At phase 1, we're really just starting that relationship of trust and building that with our clients. So we don't really measure there the kind of the flow through, because we also have a resource constraint in our phase 2. But yeah, that is our program actually from back to front.
So
yeah.
first, the vouchers, right?
Yes.
So that's the center.
So the vouchers work
Please
at
tell us about
phase
the
1.
one you just opened. I saw the flyer for the one you just opened now with the weather and that.
Yes, yeah. So there we're partnering with a local church who are taking our regular clients, so that our powerhouse safe space can accommodate more walk-ins, because the weather's been terrible and there's just people crying out for help. So yeah, we work with a voucher system, the My Change voucher, that's MI Change. And we encourage members of the public to use vouchers instead of giving cash, because cash often fuels addiction and substance abuse.
Sure.
And then clients can then take those vouchers to our homeless service centers, where they can redeem it for a meal, clothing, shower, or a bed for the night, where we have availability. And that's where we really build trust with our clients. That's our first phase, is we call it change readiness. It's building trust. And
so if we see someone, instead of handing out, we can buy a couple of vouchers, have it ready.
Yeah.
And then where are those spots? I know there's one in Claremont.
Yes, so we have homeless service center in Claremont, in Muizenberg, in Strand, and in Cape Town CBD. And then the vouchers are also redeemable with our partners Mess, and that's in Belleville, Durbanville, and Parow. So pretty much northern and southern suburbs of Cape Town and Strand area, CBD, it's all covered. You can buy and use My Change vouchers there for people
and
living
that's
on the
step
street.
1, right? That getting
That's phase 1. It's basic needs, building that motivation for change, and building trust in our clients. And from a mental health perspective, folk living on the street, they have a very poor mental health. I mean, it's hard if you don't know where your next meal is coming from. And trust is one of those most important things. I think we live in a society where we just don't trust anyone, but our entire society and economy is built on trust. And the higher your trust level can be, the stronger your mental health will be. So for our clients, they come in, they don't trust anyone. Everyone's let them down. Their family, the government, NGOs, they've let themselves down. Everyone, their trust is all-time low. So we build that trust in them to say, we're here, we're consistent, and you can do it. And then once they have that trust, they move on to phase 2, which is our drug and alcohol rehab. And again, from a mental health perspective, once we see our clients come clean from substances, their mental health improves massively. Because it's just, when you feel stressed, you reach for substances, and it maybe helps in the moment.
not just for homeless people, many people.
Many. That's what I'm saying. For mental health, it's a huge issue. But it always ends up with a long-term worse outcome.
Sure.
Our phase 3 is work readiness. So once our clients come clean, they work in our social enterprises. And again, like we've touched on already, the dignified work. The importance of getting up, doing work every day, really helps our clients with their mental health, and also gives them skills and opportunity to earn money and start to express who they are and rediscover who they are, because often they've lost their identity along the way. And then our final phase is graduation, sober, employed, housed, when they fly the nest, and
Sure. My word. This costs money. I mean, how are you guys funded?
It does,
I mean,
yes.
listening to these corporates there with lots of money, Come
yeah,
on.
please
Come on,
support
guys.
us, especially our phase 1 and phase 2. Our phase
I
3,
know you got budget, CSI budgets there. Come on, guys.
yeah,
Right?
phase 3.
It costs money to do something.
It does, yeah, especially phase 1 and 2. That's really where we need support. So
Mm.
people can jump on our website, homeless.org.za,
Okay.
if they want to learn more. It costs us money not to deal with homelessness as well. There's a writer, Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote a piece called $1 Million Murray, about a chap, Murray Barr, who lived on the street and used, in the course of his lifetime, $1 million worth of state services, hospitals, police, court services, incarceration. They calculated up, and this guy has had $1 million invested into him just staying on the street. And instead of investing that money in his education, in employment, in an apartment, and then he could be contributing back to the economy. So we did a cost of homelessness study in Cape Town, and we spend more than 750 million a year just maintaining people living on the street rather than in sowing into development. So please, if you want to support UTurn, please do give, because we're actually developing people out of homelessness and yeah, making it better for the individuals, but also for us as a society. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I hope there's someone out there that's heard that call. I'm gonna now ask Brandon. Brandon, thanks for making the time, and thanks for willing to share your story.
No, not a problem.
So yeah, tell us about your story. I'm waiting all week. This is the first time I'm hearing this story.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So my name is Brandon Manzoni. I'm currently working for UTurn. It wasn't always like this. I actually come from a 20+ year substance abuse. I was a very high functioning addict in the beginning. I had a very, very good job with a very reputable oil company. And with a very high flying job comes high stress.
So you were in corporate.
Yeah, I was in corporate, correct. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, like with a high flying job comes high stress. And different people have different ways of dealing with stress. I kind of fell in the wrong crowd and started doing some substances. My initial substance was cocaine. And initially it was once a while just to get just to be with the crowd, and then eventually it started becoming a daily thing, trying to get the motivation to get up to go to work. Once you're in work, you gotta just to get back into the swing of things again. So like I said, it became an everyday thing again, and then it started spiraling out of control. And I eventually lost my job, and I was out of work for about 4 years. And during this time I was still doing drugs, and it wasn't as bad as it eventually became, because I eventually got another job with another corporate, a credit card company, and I was with them for about 4 years. But like with everything, if you don't deal with your issues, the same issues tend to crop up again. And exactly the same thing happened with me. It was like history repeating itself. And I eventually fell into that same trap, high stress. I went to the easiest thing that I knew, something easy, something that I was familiar with, and I went back to drugs. And I think the only upside to that was that I didn't get fired from this job. The company closed.
It's funding the habit.
Yeah, but I think that's probably one of the worst things that could have happened as well, because now I'm an addict with money because like my severance pay.
Wow.
And I eventually started just going crazy with that. Again, fell in with the wrong crowd, and then I just started spiraling, and I think it was about 2018. Then my mom passed away, and that was another catalyst for me to go down this dark hole of addiction. Eventually, my brother and I were living like in the same house, my mom's place. And, it came to a point where once the money ran out, your friends ran out, and, you start looking for alternate ways to get money, So I started, taking from the house, started stealing and, doing all the things that an addict would do to get what he needs to get. And then eventually my I came home one day and my brother locked the whole house. He wouldn't let me back in. And, he took the tough love option with me, and so did the rest of my family. I was sort of isolated from them. They wanted nothing to do with me. My friends basically just vanished, from my life. And I was effectively homeless. I was on the streets. I was living under bridges, living in these tented communities. Anybody's stoop.
Brandon, sorry to just jump in here. So you're in a corporate with a high-flying job, but the stresses of that,
Yeah.
then you go on the spot. And I've never heard it that way around before, actually. You always think, my mother always says to me, if she sees somebody homeless, she says, "Oh, what happened there?" And it got me thinking, like, what's the story? Where's your mother? Where's your father? Where's your family? What happened? It gets you thinking, but I've never heard it that way around. You really get me thinking now. I mean, it can happen to anyone.
I mean, the job, it was basically, I was flying all over the country every single day. I was in Joburg, in Durban, in East London, in Northern Province, so there was deadlines and, you just find a way to go. And I unfortunately took the wrong way to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're on the streets now, and then
Yeah.
how do we get back?
Back up now. Yeah, I was on the streets for about 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And me trying to, I would always go back to my family, just trying, trying to get back. But it would never really work because I was still on substance abuse, I was still busy with that. And, they would give me a chance, and then, I'd sort of come right, but I'd eventually fall back again, I had no support. I had no one there for me. So I was pretty much alone. And eventually I came to a point where I was, it was the day like this. And I was laying on it was a random stoop I was laying on. And, I decided, here no further, I can't do this anymore. I literally cannot do, because I was literally at my rock bottom. My absolute rock bottom. I decided, I need to do something about this. And then I got up, I had this little cell phone, eventually I got to a Cash Crusaders, I sold that. Took a taxi to town, Wynberg, and I got eventually to a place called the Ark. It's a free sort of rehab. I got there was no place for me. And then I slept outside for 2 days. They eventually let me in. I then stayed there for about 1.5 years. And I got clean. I did my recovery there. And through the Ark, I got to know UTurn.
Okay, I see.
They then put me into a shelter. They eventually got me into their work readiness program, which is the phase 3 part of it. And I eventually got into working in the charity shops. Started working my way up. I eventually became a story leader, and then I started doing these little talks and stuff, and then
Doing a good job, by the way.
yeah, and then the previous communications boss then approached me and she asked me if I didn't want to come work in the comms team. And I was like, it's something for me to do, something different for me to do, and it changed my focus from there to a place where I get to share my story with people, and even if it just touches one person, get the story out there and just let them know that there is hope. There is, if I can be that little beacon of hope for someone, it doesn't have to be an entire audience; it can just be one person. And and eventually, I got through. I started working at comms, and the one thing I can say about UTurn though is the level of support that I received from UTurn. When I was my phase 3, we had this one day where you get to see a caseworker, a life coach, and we have a counselors there as well, So having to speak to someone, having to get someone actually see you and recognize you and see you as a person, and so you can actually speak exactly what's going on with you. Tell them, listen, this is my problems, and there were issues that they highlighted to me that I didn't even know were issues for me. We worked through it, and I eventually, I got out of that that haze that covers your eyes when you're in that level of addiction, you know. And I mean, UTurn really helped me in that space.
Yo, Brandon, it's powerful.
Well done. Well done. I feel motivated. I will have another session now.
I'm mindful of time
Wow.
because I think just we're just mindful of time. Brandon, thanks for sharing that. You definitely touched us here.
Wow.
I think one thing it gives us perspective. There's always hope.
Yeah.
You rock bottom. Somebody's out there. There's always hope. And so I'm mindful of the time. They are giving me sorry. What? So you can speak louder, Jody. What do we have? So we got 7 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Now I just want to be mindful of the time to land the plane. Yeah, Brandon, that was amazing. So sure. Please, guys, seriously, let's support UTurn. You guys are doing great work.
Wow, thank you.
I heard this person say the other day, somebody goes into the well, you can hold the ropes, and you guys are going where we can't go. So thanks for all you do. But I think we need to just have some closing remarks. Sorry, just the last thing, I forgot to say this. A life of service. It's a good antidote for mental strain. A life of service, giving yourself to people, spending time with people. It's a great way. So get involved and serve someone. Let's not be consumed with our own worlds. So yeah, a life of service, great antidote. So I'm going to ask for closing remarks, and I'm going to start with you.
Cool. Closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm going to start with you.
I'll just keep moving, everyone. Just try and keep moving. Make this part of your life, and it's never, ever too late. Like my 93-year-old client started at 50. Yeah. He said he wished he could have started a bit younger, but be that as it may, at 93 he's still able to do what he wants to do. So I'm in awe of that. So just keep moving. And the mind sort of adapts. Yeah. You know, you become.
We can, if we want. Where do you train, by the way? So you're at sports.
So I'm at Sports Science.
I'm giving Sports Science free marketing.
You are. Thank you.
So can we get discounts on membership?
Oh, that's only for you, Dalton.
So you're at Sports Science.
I'm at Sports Science.
Okay, so they can come there if anyone.
Please, everyone just come through. Have a look, have a squeeze at the place, and we can. Talk about deals that are.
And thanks for always the accountability. Marvin always checks in when I'm not at gym actually. Say, hey, where are you? What's going on? And that's that brotherhood, that we talk about. And I mean, one day at gym, he said to me, he looked at me and he said, "Why aren't you smiling? What's going on?" I mean,
yes.
At gym, that's important. That's the kind of questions you actually caught me off guard that day.
I'm glad.
They were stressing me out, by the way. I'm just kidding. So yeah, thanks, Marvin. Stephen, from your closing remarks.
Just to say, a life of service. Live for something bigger than your small life, and get involved with an NGO. Can be UTurn, can be another one, but get involved in something that's bigger than your small narrative. And some people can volunteer. Some people, they're so busy with work, all they can do is give money. But that's fine. Be the rope. Follow on social media, get newsletters, be involved in what the organization you're supporting is doing, so you feel connected to that community.
I like that. Something bigger than yourself. You get perspective on your life and your issues. Issues around mental health. Brandon, I'm so glad to meet you today. I've seen you on the website, but now I've got to meet you.
Just that, no matter how dark it gets, no matter how low you feel you are, there's always hope, and there's always people out there that is willing to help. We just have to reach out, and someone will be there.
I'm going to get you on. I wish I had more time. I hope to get you on another session. But you know what struck me with Brandon is really there's a lot of corporates on the line here. That could be any one of us. To be in that role, and then the stress. I hear often how people are struggling in corporate, and that's why we do some of the things that we do, Lucian, around employee wellness and those kind of things. So yeah, thanks for sharing and keep up the good work. So you guys in the same comms team now?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
You work on the radio quite a bit this week.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we because of the emergency appeal, the weather
the
being so
emergency
bad,
appeal
there's
as
been
well.
a lot of media. Yeah.
So where do we're doing a drop off at UTurn.
At UTurn head office, we open till 9 this evening to accommodate
Okay.
more folk, and 8 till 12 tomorrow as well. If anyone wants to drop off non-perishable foods,
Anything
blankets, yoga mats, clothing,
Come on, guys.
toilet
It's
paper,
flooding.
whatever you've got
Yeah.
that we need at the shelters.
Okay.
Tea, coffee, long life milk, yeah.
I said to my team the other day when it was storming like that, I said, take a moment, think in the negative, imagine you didn't have the roof over your head now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just stop and think. And so thanks for sharing.
And our head office is just around the corner, so it's
Yeah.
155 2nd Avenue, Kenilworth.
155 2nd Avenue.
Kenilworth.
For those that frequent
Banana jam.
Banana
We're the neighbours. So we get the regular
Banana
news.
jam, just pop in before you go and have your beer. It's right opposite. I'm promoting these people. Banana jam. Hey, you guys should be. Okay. Stop. Stop, moment. Anyway, Lucian.
Well,
What do
so-
you do, Mr. Brotherhood?
Yeah, I think guys, there was so much said today, but let's just start. I think it's important that we take that next step, and don't underestimate what a little message can do. Don't underestimate.
Your WhatsApp, right?
It's something simple as that.
Please.
Don't underestimate. I mean, if you want to be practical, in your WhatsApp chat, just put a poll and let the guys start to anonymously say how they're feeling. You know, but I think. Dalton, just to look at practicality, I just look at how we started this conversation with 2 of us. There's now 5 of us here. Within an hour, there's 5 groups of guys, and we haven't met each other before. They were just trying to speak. But open and honest conversations.
Just
And
wait quickly, man. Just hold quickly. I feel like there's a seat missing here. You know what I mean? Okay, you're getting that shot on Bushel? Get in here, please. I told you you're not going to get out of it. This is my business manager. He sorts out all the things in the background for me. This is the guy that I spoke to you about. Mbuso Viela. We ask each other tough questions. So the brotherhood complete.
so I mean, Dalton, this is completely.
So now we couldn't have one seat missing. Ladies,
Yeah.
we're not excluding you, eh? So I'm just.
So I mean, practicality. This was impromptu. We formed a quick conversation, and I think just the practicality around this conversation, it can be done. And to the female comment that you made, I think as men we need to realize this is not in isolation and anything differently to women. The stronger we show up as men, the better we can be that structure for the female community, for our community at large. Because we must never underestimate that there's a little boy out there looking up to us to become role models. I mean, Brandon's story is touching, but I mean, we mustn't underestimate when we pull up our driver, who's looking at us. And I always believe that we must do stuff with good intention. And we don't need miracles. We don't need all the time. We don't need all the resources financially. Just do something, no matter what small it is. If 100 people is doing something small, it makes a difference. So let's find time to just sit back and say, where can I make an impact? And it's always valued.
Sure. Amazing.
That's it.
So the brotherhood is happening. Thanks for the WhatsApp. From our side, final words. I'm out of time. Eh? So just final words, just encouragement for those who are feeling you in a good place and you're strong at the moment. Remember the story of Brandon. Life is hard and things can change. And let's be humble because things can change. If you are struggling there and you're feeling in a weak space, there's always hope. There's always hope. So reach out. And remember the Kaizen principle, right? Just small changes. Small changes, 1%. And hopefully we added 1% today. And that's really our encouragement. Let's move the dial 1%. Let's impact our communities. How men show up impacts communities, and let's make a difference. So this was really, really awesome. Guys, thank you for the time. Just some administration. So if you want to reach out to us, Lucian does a lot of one-on-one coaching. You can check the detail on the 360 Consulting webpage. There's our number, there's our email address. Please reach out. We would love to hear from you. And then also subscribe or give us a like. Casey, am I doing that right? Okay, to do this thing. So subscribe and give us a like on the web, 360 Consulting. And then also there's a survey in the description below. Right, Bess, happy? There's a survey in the description below. We would love to hear feedback. Maybe we can do it again. Lucian recommended yesterday when we were preparing that we get together. A couple of guys getting together. We're considering that, but we really want your feedback. If it was valuable, please reach out and communicate with us. So there is a survey link below. And then if you reach out to us, we have a cool tool that a young guy is designing for us. Tinashe, another guy, is a student. We met him. Quick story, I'm taking a moment. Met him in a coffee shop. He was doing an amazing thing. He built an app called Easy Shop, where you compare the pricing. Tinashe, keep up the good work. It's called Easy Shop, where you can compare the prices of your spending. Easy Shop. Just reach out to him. And he built something for us as well. It's a 360 tool where you can do a check. It's holistic, it's integration. So looking at all those areas that we spoke about today and track yourself. Small little tool that we'll send to you if you send us your details. And then we really want to get your feedback to see if we can do this again. Guys, you keen to do it again?
Absolutely.
Okay, bring a couple of other guys as well. Ladies, thank you for your presence. Jody and Casey, my lovely ladies, thank you for all your support. Just a couple of things. Sebastian, thank you. Great work. Camera guy, the main guy from Equinox Visuals. And then thank you to St. James Church, Kenilworth. Thank you for always providing us with the studio to do this work. Thank you so much for your support. To the 360 staff, business manager, thank you. And then just in closing, remember at 360 we are relational, not transactional. God bless. Enjoy the bucket tomorrow. Happiness. Thanks, boys.